When it comes to desert destinations, Palm Springs is one of the most sought-after places if you're looking for a relaxing weekend getaway. Since the 1920s, celebrities have flocked to the area, buying homes and taking breaks from their busy lives in Los Angeles, and Walt Disney was no exception. As a true equestrian, Walt loved horseback riding and playing polo outside of the studio life, and Palm Springs was the perfect place to do both. Starting in the 1930s, after joining a riding troupe known as the Rancheros, Walt and his wife began visiting the desert more frequently, staying in guest cottages at a private community called Smoke Tree Ranch. From lawn bowling, golfing, and plenty of outdoor hiking, STR had everything when it came to activities and amenities, and was encompassed on 375 acres of hidden desert property, just minutes away from the village of Palm Springs. Walt and Lillian enjoyed the ranch so much they became official members in 1946 and built their first home inside the community just 2 years later. STR residents, or colonists as they like to call themselves, were at first concerned given Walt's high celebrity status. The colonists had developed this private ranch-style community where captains of industry could own a home while also not drawing attention to themselves. Fearing that Walt would expect special treatment given how big he was in Hollywood, they were hesitant at first when he joined their private community. However, after getting to know him on a more personal level, they quickly realized he was a perfect fit for their ranch. He even served as a member of the board of directors, eventually adding a recreational center known as Disney Hall, where he would bring down clips from movies he had been currently shooting, so all of the colonists and their kids could get a sneak peek before the films were even released. Walt enjoyed several years at the ranch and began planning the early stages of an ambitious idea we know as Disneyland, but as the project grew larger, so did the costs. He decided to ask fellow colonists if they'd like to invest in his idea, but sadly, they all turned him down, with the exception of one, his good friend Donald Gilmore, who was at the time a CEO of a pharmaceutical manufacturing firm. But that still didn't cut it, and Walt was sadly left with no other choice but to sell off his assets, including his beloved home at Smoke Tree Ranch. Even after losing his home and his membership as a colonist, his history in Palm Springs didn't end there. In 1957, after the success of Disneyland, Walt and Lillian returned back to Smoke Tree Ranch, where they built a new house in the community. Walt originally wanted to construct a small train around the ranch house, similar to the one he had built at his Carolwood estate. However, as much as the colonists loved Walt, the architectural committee had shut down his idea, suggesting that it didn't quite fit in with the traditional desert vibes of the area. Instead, Walt opted for a concrete path along the perimeter of his home that would act as a railroad for the neighborhood kids as they circled his house on their bicycles. While Walt spent many weekends at the ranch, he took up Smoke Tree's tradition of lawn bowling, a relaxing game that consisted of rolling lopsided balls across a 100-foot field of fresh, manicured grass. While his polo days began to fade away, it was his newly sponsored lawn bowling tournaments that piqued his interest, and still continue at Smoke Tree Ranch to this day. In addition to his contributions, Walt also helped with the design of several new guest cottages by bringing in his Imagineers from WED, the same Imagineers that helped create Disneyland. It was here at the ranch in Palm Springs that Walt could truly enjoy his later years spent with the presence of others, whether it was a horseback ride with Lillian, a game of lawn bowling with the colonists, or just watching his grandchildren bike around his sidewalk railroad. It was his love for the desert and bringing families together that created what Walt referred to as his laughing place. He loved the ranch life so much, you can even spot him in numerous TV appearances, sporting the STR monogram on his tie, which is also on each of the Disney partner statues located at every Disney park. While it's been nearly 60 years since Walt Disney last stepped foot in Palm Springs, it's here at Smoke Tree Ranch where his traditions and his legacy continue to live on.